Rawr!
Ew.
Hello and welcome to Pony&Wolf Productions. I am Midnight, and today we shall be reading 2 + 2 = 5. Written by Not Plu? Interesting name. As always, these are our amazing Patreons. Link is in the description if you wish to join. Now, shall we get to it? 2 + 2 = 5. Twilight stared at the paper. That was all she had written. 2 + 2 = 5. Some part of it seemed wrong to her, seemed off, but Celestia had put it there, and that meant it was right. That meant it was true, because Celestia is right about everything, and that makes sense to a filly as young as Twilight. Celestia knew. She knew that 2 and 2 makes 5, and it was her job to teach Twilight that 2 and 2 makes 5. So that's what it was, and that's what Twilight knew now too. 2 + 2 = 5. Twilight reassured herself of this, in fragmented sentences and consoling phrases. She breathed. It's okay, she told herself. Celestia's right. Celestia knows what's right. She took up her quill again with her magic and carefully dipped it in the ink. She breathed. She knew what to do next. It was simple. Celestia knew. 2 + 2 = 5. 5 - 2 = 2. 2 - 5 = -2. -2 + 5 = 2. -2 - 2 = -5. -5 + 2 = -3. She quickly smudged out the 3. She wondered how she came up with such a silly answer like that, when she knew it was 2. She shook her head, casting out her silly little filly thoughts and dumb answers, and corrected her mistake. -5 and 2 makes -2. Celestia always said how smart Twilight was, how bright, that she would make a great mathematician. Twilight recalled this and blushed. Good thing Celestia's not here. Twilight didn't like failing the princess, mostly because every filly, at least at that age, aims to please and searches for acceptance, something Twilight had never found before. 2 + 2 = 5. She said it out loud, praying that it would convince her mind that it was true. She wasn't old enough or smart enough, not nearly to know any better, to even fathom her teacher was wrong, because the very idea of it was silly. How could Celestia be wrong? Celestia knew. And Celestia had been so sure, had been so kind in explaining the simple fact to Twilight. It was not a mistake, for princesses do not make mistakes. And even if she had, she would have... Twilight stopped her train of thought, stopped the silliness. Of course Celestia was right. She breathed again. Continue. She stared at the paper. Those were all the facts she could think of. But then she started thinking. Her mind started turning in the most dangerous of ways. The numbers seemed to slowly float off the paper and swirl around Twilight, unlocking and moving about and making everything so clear. Twilight dipped her quill in the ink and began to write. Adrenaline rushing through her veins. 2 × 2 = 5. 2 divided by 2 = 2. 2 times -2 equals -5. -5 divided by 2 equals -2. -2 times -2 equals 5. 5 divided by -2 equals -2. Those were all the facts, though her mind didn't stop. No, quite the opposite. It was inflated with new feeling of discovery, of eureka, though her brain hadn't learned that word yet. Her train of thought traveled back into her memory, speeding past her questions. A number times itself. 2 to the power of 2 equals 5. The square root of 5 equals 2. She let her quill drop, sat back in her chair and smiled. A strange sort of smugness crept into her, and a dollop of eagerness. How pleased Celestia would be at the progress Twilight had made, just from the simple fact that 2 and 2 make 5. How thrilled at her memory of squares and square roots she'd be. How impressed. And maybe a small idea would be planted in Celestia's mind, like a seed that would someday grow into the prettiest flower, prettier than all of Twilight's dresses would be after she was crowned Princess of Smartness. She'd work on the title. Twilight's right brain happily slipped into its fantasy, the left side perfectly content with its job well done. She imagined banquets and suitors and book signings with big banners that said, 2 plus 2 equals 5. Twilight Sparkle proves how smart she is. Twilight sat up, surprised by her own voice. 2 plus 2 equals 5, she repeated, uneasiness creeping back from where it lay dormant. Her eyes fell on her paper, on the 8 equations, facts, truths she'd written. She tried slipping back into the warmth of satisfaction, but it had already faded, banished to the doldrums of self-doubt. She attempted to pick her quill up again, but her magic couldn't get a strong enough hold on it. Twilight breathed. She concentrated. The quill returned to the table, bathed in her pink aura. It's so simple. Just a fact. Magic doesn't make sense either, does it? The quill clattered to the ground, rattling Twilight's mind. Her hooves instinctively went to her ears, but that didn't stop the ringing. 2 plus 2, 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 2 plus 2. Make it stop! She yelled, far too loud for such a shy filly. She didn't hear the clatter of hooves over the canopy of 2s. Twilight, are you all right? Yes, I'm fine. The door swung open, suddenly yellow. You don't sound fine. Princess? Yes? What does 2 and 2 make? 5, darling, don't be silly. Oh, okay, thank you. Perhaps you should get some sleep. Yeah, probably. Good night, my faithful student. Good night, Princess. Sweet dreams, with Luna's blessing. The door shut again. They could both sense each other's uneasiness, but neither one did anything about it. Celestia's right. I should get some sleep. Celestia's right. The phrase echoed in her brain. She realized the 2s had stopped. It echoed again. Celestia's right. Celestia knows. Celestia's true. The phrases were pulled into her conscious, for the millionth time, swirling and mixing into a pile of strange emotions. And Twilight prayed. She prayed to being a hallway over. She prayed for peace. She prayed that the numbers would simply jump off the page and tell Twilight what was right. No, that's what Celestia was for. 2 plus 2 equals 5. 2 and 2 make 5. 2 plus 2 equals 4. That was an odd one, admittedly, and kind of creepy. I don't really know what's going on, but I don't think I want to. That was 2 plus 2 equals 5. I apologize, I did have to change slightly my wording a little, because I realized minus wasn't going to work for some of those. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed anyway, and stay safe and keep watching that moon. Bye!